If you're looking to give your S550 the same stopping power found on the mighty Shelby GT350R, then you might want to consider this extremely baller Ford Performance GT350R front and rear kit for that 2015 or newer GT or EcoBoost. Now this kit is from Ford Performance and Brembo and will give you everything you need to convert the front and rear setup on your ride to the same exact hardware used on the best handling and best braking Mustang of all time. Price point, as you might imagine, is going to be a little steep at just south of 4 Gs, and the install, according to the site, will be for the more seasoned mechanics out there due to the complexity of this kit. So call it a soft 3 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and at least a half a day to get everything in place. Now, right off the bat, I do want to point out that this is a 100% complete upgrade for all GT and EcoBoost owners out there. And guys, when I say complete, I absolutely mean it. Ford Performance tosses in things like your IRS knuckles for both sides, new GT350 half shafts, new e-brake or parking cables along with the brackets, and so much more. And this is why the price point for this particular kit is going to be a bit higher than your standard big brake upgrades that typically just include calipers and rotors for both the front and rear. I also want to point out that if you're shopping around for this kit specifically and you might see it for sale somewhere else for about $1,000 or so bucks cheaper, chances are you're probably looking at the upgrade kit for the standard GT350, and therefore that kit will not include the extras like the half shafts, the knuckles, and so on, which by the way are necessary in order to retrofit everything here onto a non-Shelby model. But with all that gobbledygook out of the way, what do you say we break things down a little bit further, pun intended, and let's start with the star of this kit in my humble opinion, and that will be of course the massive caliper and rotor setup that is included for both the front and rear of the car. Now up front, these beautiful red 6-piston aluminum calipers from Brembo, preloaded with your pads and all riding on the gigantic 15.5-inch cross-drilled rotors with the directional vanes, just to help with any heat dissipation and cooling. Now I know it might appear on the surface that this is a 2-piece rotor at first glance, but that isn't the case here. Instead, Ford Performance and Brembo decided it was important to put this extra detail in here with the hat portion to again offer some thermal benefits over a standard 1-piece rotor. Now, even though the fronts will be handling most of your heavy lifting when it comes to braking, it doesn't mean Ford Performance and Brembo skimped out on the rear setup. In fact, quite the opposite, right? 4-piston aluminum calipers back here, also done up in red, preloaded with your pads, of course, and then riding on the not so small 14.9-inch cross-drilled rotors in the rear. So again, a major upgrade to hardware for EcoBoost owners and even those GT owners out there who might have not grabbed that performance pack Brembo setup from the factory. But as I did point out earlier, guys, this is more than just calipers and rotors with the Ford Performance kit, because in order to fit the upgraded Shelby parts on your Eco or GT, Ford Performance did have to kick in some supporting components to make it all jive. Now this does include things like your front caliper adapters, rear Shelby knuckles shown here, your Shelby parking brake assembly and cables, in addition to your Shelby axle assemblies as well, or half shafts, and again, all of the necessary components to get everything in place, making this as turnkey as it gets. Now, one very important thing to point out here, guys, is that wheel fitment is certainly going to be something to consider when stepping into this upgrade. In fact, Ford Performance states that the stock 2015 and newer wheels will not fit, even if you have a performance pack wheel. Now, it's not necessarily the diameter that is the issue here, however, that still is important, 19 inches or bigger, but also the offset. That's the crucial part, as you will need to either run spacers to clear these components or run an aftermarket wheel with a plus 35 offset or lower, just in order to clear the components. Now, as far as your install is concerned, well, again, the site does go full 3 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, and they call this at least 4 hours to get completed. I would think it's probably gonna take it closer to a full day. That's because you do need to factor in things like not only bleeding the new brakes, but also replacing things like those knuckles, the half shafts, in addition to the e-brake cables we mentioned earlier. So expect a little bit more of an involved install compared to the other big brake options that you might encounter here on the site. But wrapping things up here, guys, if you want to make a major, and I mean major, upgrade to the stopping power on your S550 and also increase that appearance thanks to these beautiful components, then be sure to check out the complete GT350R upgrade from Ford Performance and Brembo right here at AmericanMuscle.com.